Hello everyone, this is The Question, and I'm back with my reading log for the month of January 2023. This is everything here that I read in the month of January. Bunch of great series. My big focus in January, the three series that I really wanted to read through in this year was Cross Game, Tokyo Tarareba Girls, and Inside Mari, and then fit in whatever else I could besides those three. And I flew through those, as you'll see in my log. Fantastic series, a bunch of really great stuff this month. Very few series that I will be unhauling, but definitely some surprises in this log. So definitely watch. Everybody, if you enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and let's get right into it. Okay, so I have a stack of Glacier Bay books that I read through this month. Glacier Bay is a smaller independent manga creator who releases a lot of kind of more arty manga stuff that you're not going to find from your bigger publishers. And I had a decent amount of my collection that I hadn't read yet. I think after this stack I only have one, the Glaolia Volume 3, the larger short story collection that I haven't read yet. I've read some previously that were really good, so I've been slowly collecting their work, but here is everything I read this month. So I'm going to go in the order of stuff I enjoyed the least to the stuff I enjoyed the most. The final three are the ones that I really would recommend. So starting off, we have Ripples. This one was fine. It's just, I like a little bit more kind of straightforward narrative, like a little bit more that I can connect with. This one here was a little bit more kind of vague in its storytelling. It's more kind of poetic. It was fine. It just didn't really connect with me. And then same thing here. I usually really like short story collections, and so this is a short story collection, 2 volumes. I assume Popokomi, and this one there wasn't really, like, none of the short stories were bad. There wasn't any that really grabbed me out of either of these 2 releases, so not really one that I would recommend. We have a really weird one. This is one, I think this might be the one I've had the longest, and this is Rabbit Game. It is about a girl who tells this boy to play this rabbit game, this kind of 90s handheld, and he gets sucked into it, and all kinds of weird stuff happens then. So this one was it was interesting, but I don't really feel like it went anywhere in this short kind of volume. We have a really short one. This is Meet Me in the Unkempt Garden. Again, this one, very unique artwork. I really like the artwork in this one. But a very basic kind of relationship story about a woman who is having an affair. Then we have Dream Another Dream and Tonio. I think Tonio is a little kind of side story prequel to something that happens in Dream Another Dream. This basically follows cat people, and we have a little kid who goes into these deep sleeps where he dreams, and it came with these little cards when I bought it. But this one was cute. Nothing amazing, but I did enjoy it. Another short story collection. This is all from the same creator. This is From This Flame. Really unique artwork. I did really like the artwork. This one here, one of the stories in particular I really enjoyed. The rest of them I thought were okay, but the artwork is really good, and this one I did enjoy. Okay, so the 3 that I really recommend. First off, we have Mermaid Town. This is a collected stories release, all by the same creator. And this one, really nice book here. It's got kind of this maroon paper on the side, but when you actually reach inside, the paper is black on the outside. Really great artwork. Very interesting stories. So this is basically, this creator has really intense dreams, and dreams that he gets over and over again, which as someone who doesn't really ever remember their dreams, I always find those kind of stories interesting, to find out that there's people that remember their dreams and they have repeated dreams over and over again. I don't really have anything like that, so I find this interesting. So he has these repeated dreams and these very intense emotional dreams, and he kind of connects them in this story and makes them as part of one world. So he calls that world Mermaid Town, and so that is what this collection is. So very interesting read, great artwork, really good one. I definitely recommend Mermaid Town. Next we have another short story collection, and that is Invisible Parade by the creator Mississippi, and this is another one I highly recommend. This one has some really nice blue ink. All the pages are done in this blue ink, and then about half the stories go your typical manga right to left, but there's also some stories that are in there that were originally released left to right. So there'll be like a little note as you're going, like to flip the book upside down to read the stories that go that way, and then it'll go back the other way, which I found kind of interesting and fun to do. This one's kind of a more standard short story collection. All the short stories are very different, kind of different art styles, but just all those stories I found very interesting, a very good look into this creator, and I definitely would want to read more from this creator. So definitely recommend Invisible Parade. And lastly, this is probably one of the more famous Glacier Bay releases, and that is F. This one is a fictional story about kind of coming after the tsunami and nuclear meltdowns of 2011 about Fukushima. And so this one, I didn't know anything about it going into it, so I went into this one pretty blind. And as I was reading like the first chapter, I was like, did this actually happen? And am I really that not knowledgeable about Japanese history? But no, this is a fictional story, kind of giving a side from the creator about things that possibly could have happened following those disasters. So you've got a lot of back material in this, which I really enjoy, and some really nice distinct artwork. Just a really fascinating story, great history of how this came about in English. This is a manga that is pretty much unknown in Japan, but way more famous here in the US, which I found very interesting. So yeah, so that was all the Glacier Bay books I read. Obviously, like I said, the last three are the ones I highly recommend, and that is F, Invisible Parade, and Mermaid Town. So definitely check those out if you're interested in something a little different than the norm. Okay, so for the rest of this reading log, I'm going to go in kind of my standard style, where I go from the stuff I enjoyed the least to the stuff I enjoyed the most. The majority of the stuff this month I really loved. So there's actually only a couple books that I'm going to be unhauling this month, and one of them is Absolute Duo. So if you have been watching my haul videos a few months ago, or maybe it was even last month, I picked this series up from eBay. It's a short 4-volume series, and I couldn't remember why I picked it up. Someone must have recommended it to me, or there must have been some reason why I picked it up. It was fairly cheap, but I got the 4-volume series, and I read volume 1 this month and really did not care for it. It is a weird one. Like, when I started, the first half of this book is almost like you're set into the 4th volume of a series. Like, I had to look it up and be like, is this part of something else? Like, am I supposed to have read something else to know like what's going on here? But no, that's just the storytelling device that they're using, is where they're just kind of throwing you in the middle of this, and none of it really made sense to me. And even once about halfway through, when you kind of figure out what the creator's going for, I still really didn't find any of it very interesting. Very fan servicey, very just not that good of a series. Just didn't hook me in any way. So I will be unhauling this, and I won't be reading any farther. So that was Absolute Duo. Okay, so the next book I will be unhauling is a well-loved release. This one I expected to love, and that is A Silent Voice. And I have these 2 really large complete collector's edition hardcovers. So I don't want my video, you know, I try to keep mostly positive in my video. I originally recorded this and I had I started rambling on about what I didn't like about the series for about 10 minutes. And I'm just gonna delete that because I don't want this video to be that negative, or my reading logs to be that negative, especially when we have a series that a lot of people connect with. But for me, I just didn't connect with this. So a short, like 30-second kind of rant about why I didn't connect with this. In this story, we have the lead, the main character is actually the bullier in this story, whereas normally in these kind of stories, the person who's being bullied would be the character that you would, you know, that would be the focus. And in this one, it's kind of reversed. So my main problem is that, mainly because the main character, who is the bully character, is uninteresting. The redemptive arc didn't feel real to me. Nothing about it felt, none of his motivations, none of his growth felt like anything a real human being would do. It's just a very weirdly written character. And then the main character, the female character who has a hearing, who is deaf and has a disability, who is bullied from this boy because of that. She is given, of all the characters in this book, the least character development. She's given nothing to do other than her disability, which is kind of disappointing. That's kind of the reason, you know, that's what would have grabbed me and would have sucked me into this book is that character. And she's given the least to do of any of the characters in the story. All the side characters, all the friend group that kind of you meet in this story, none of them felt real to me. They all felt, the dialogue felt all very, very unhuman-like. Their motivations and their relationships between each other, none of that felt very real to me. So that's my shortened spiel of why I didn't enjoy this story. Obviously, I know a lot of people connect very strongly to this book and really love this book. And, you know, this is my personal opinion about it. But I didn't connect with it. I read all the way through it. But yeah, this is definitely not something I'm going to reread, and I will be unhauling A Silent Voice. Okay, so next we have Benkei, I think Benkei or Benkai in New York. This is an out-of-print Jiro Taniguchi book. This one, the art is by Taniguchi, but the story is by Jinpachi Mori. And this is like it says here, an old pulp release. And this is kind of a short story collection of noir stories. And so in this one, you get the usual really nice Taniguchi artwork. This is obviously kind of older style artwork of his, which really good artwork. The stories, just kind of generic noir stories. If you're gonna pick up a Taniguchi book, this would be low on my list of ones to pick up. But if you do find this and you're a Taniguchi lover, or you're really into noir movies, noir storytelling, then check this one out. But otherwise, it was good, but you know, nothing amazing. If you can find this for a cheap price, then go ahead and grab it. Next up, we have a short 2-volume series, and that is Dear No Man 1 and 2. This one, obviously, you can tell when you're reading the first volume that this series got canceled, because the first volume kind of sets up all this stuff, and then in volume 2 they have to rush through and kind of wrap everything up as best they can, because it obviously was canceled. So this one, I really enjoyed the first volume. If this would have been a longer series, I'm sure this would have been a really entertaining series. I would have really enjoyed it. It revolves around this girl who can see ghosts, and she gets sucked into this secret society, gets paired up with this crow girl kind of demon character who hates humans, and kind of they become friends, and you know, they're co-workers. So it had a lot of interesting ways to go, but unfortunately, like I said, because it was canceled, it gets wrapped up really quickly in volume 2. And in those volumes where they're kind of having to do a quick wrap up and get everything in there to kind of end the series, they're usually not as good. So the first volume I really enjoyed. The second volume, not quite as much, because it was a really quick wrap up. But if you like really short series, or you like kind of these canceled series and you want to check them out, I recommend this one from Yen Press. And I'm glad Yen Press releases stuff like this, that even though it's not super popular or ran for a long time, we still get it in English. So that is Dear No Man. Okay, next up we have, this one isn't a 2-volume series. I think it's continuing, but I read the first 2 volumes, and that is Nights with a Cat. This one, I didn't know too much about it other than it has some nice kind of unique, weird artwork, and it is about cats. So if it has cats in it, I'm almost certainly going to buy it. So yeah, like I said, I didn't really know what the story was about. And this one is kind of your straightforward guy gets a cat, never had cats before, doesn't really understand how to interact with them or how they work. And so that part, you know, I've heard that story enough. I've had cats pretty much since I was a small child, and I'm now 44, and I've probably had a cat that at least that entire time. I currently have 5 cats. I know all of cats' kind of weird behaviors and things like that. So the stuff in this story is going to be nothing kind of that you're not aware of if you're aware of cats. Kind of, you know, cats will stare at walls and you're like, why are they doing that? You know, just kind of these things that if you're a cat owner, you already know all this. Why a cat, you know, sometimes it'll want you to pet it, and then as soon as you start petting it, it'll bite you. Like, it's just a little kind of reaction, things like that this guy's learning as he deals with a cat for the first time. But I do really like, one thing that makes this better than others is the artwork. I really like this kind of unique, creepy artwork. It almost kind of, it's not quite to the level of Junji Ito's Cat Diary, where it really gets into kind of the bizarre artwork, where it gets almost grotesque. But this one, I just really like the way the cat is drawn, and the man and the woman are drawn. There's some color pages. You get some little color bits in here. So yeah, just a cute story. If you like cats, definitely check this one out, Nights with a Cat. Like I said, it's still ongoing. I don't think this is the last volume. This is Yen Press. Really nice release, Nights with a Cat. Really, the only new series, like volume 1 I read this month, was Touring After the Apocalypse. And this was a really cute slice of life series about these two girls who are, like it says, touring after the apocalypse. They're basically going around. There's no other people around, and so they're just kind of going to different ruins and different sites and touring them. So I thought it was going to be very just kind of basic slice of life, but it takes some interesting turns. I'm not going to spoil kind of stuff that happens in this book, but it definitely, some things happen in here that I was not expecting, that I found interesting. So definitely going to read more of this. I like these kind of slice of life stories. I like stories about kind of people, you know, surviving after the apocalypse, and kind of, you know, how they interact with the world, where it's not horror or they're constantly being attacked by zombies, that type of thing. So definitely recommend this one. Looking forward to more of it. Okay, so next we're getting to the big 3 series that I read this month. These were the 3 series that I had on my list for, I was going to read these in the first month of 2023. And these are ones that I've had for a while, and I really wanted to read them. And they didn't disappoint. I loved all 3 of these. I'll do the one that I loved the most at the very end. But first we're going to start off with Tokyo Tarareba Girls. I read through all of this series this month, and that's 9 volumes. So if you don't know, this is by the creator of Princess Jellyfish and Blank Canvas. So now that I've read her 3 releases that have been put out in English, Blank Canvas is by far the standout. If you haven't read any of her work, Blank Canvas is the one that I would say pick up first. That's the really amazing one. And then I would put Princess Jellyfish and then this series kind of right together after that. So very good, but just not at the kind of elite level that I would say Blank Canvas was at. And so as you can see here, very nice covers. So this story revolves around a group of 30-year-old women in Japan who are waiting for the Tokyo Olympics to happen, and so they want to get they're all single, and they're very upset that they're not married, and so they're working on trying to get married before the 2020 Olympics. That's kind of their goal, is they don't want to still be single by the time the Olympics come around. So there's a lot of hijinks going on in here. There's a lot of meeting the wrong guy and trying to see if he is going to be right for you, and then also obviously a lot of female friendship, and a lot of kind of learning about themselves, and that, you know, obviously the point of the story isn't being married solves all your problems. It's, you know, it's definitely not going to be that type of story. It's the type of story that you know, you don't need that, and you can be perfectly happy without being married. So yeah, just a very enjoyable story. I love Akiko Higashimura's artwork. The way that she draws women is fantastic. I really like her artwork. Yes, so as you can see here, if you've read, like I said, if you read Princess Jellyfish, which is probably her more popular series, you kind of know how her artwork works. But yeah, just great covers, great artwork, great story, wraps up well. Highly recommend Tokyo Tarareba Girls. Okay, so the next series that I wanted to read through this month, we finally got the final volume. It feels like it's been a year plus since the previous volume had came out, and we finally, after much delays, got the final volume of Inside Mari by Shuzo Oshimi. I'm a big Shuzo Oshimi fan. I still think probably I maybe enjoy Happiness as far as completed series more than Inside Mari, but this is a close second now. If you've read Oshimi, you know this shit's going to be weird, and this is a very weird book. Body swap. We have a guy who is obsessed with this girl, and he ends up waking up and he's inside of her body. And so it's kind of him trying to figure out where she went, is kind of what's going on with the story, and him kind of getting used to being her, and seeing how him, very introverted, doesn't leave his room, creepy older guy, and now he is a very popular high school girl, so he's kind of got to deal with that. So you get usual Oshimi, fantastic artwork. Tony's Manga mentioned Shuzo Oshimi in her last reading log, and she summed it up perfectly. In some of the afterwords of these, he definitely overshares. That's the best way to put it. There's some stuff that he mentions in the afterwords that is like, okay, I understand that you feel that way, but the fact that you're actually like writing this down and putting it out for the world is kind of okay. Like we all have our own things, but yeah, I mean, got to give it to him for putting those things out there. And afterwards, he definitely goes into why he creates these kind of weird stories, and you can definitely get why he makes the very weird, sexual, kind of bizarre stories that he is known for. So here's volume 9. Great final arc for this cover. Good wrap up. Just a really enjoyable Shuzo Oshimi story. Very weird, very, you know, you'll say, what the hell is going on multiple times throughout this. But yeah, just another great Oshimi work. Like I said, I probably prefer Happiness a little bit more. I'm not counting Blood on the Tracks because it's not completed and I haven't finished it, and I'm not going to read it, the rest of it, until it's finished. But as far as completed series by him, this one's high up there. Highly recommend Inside Mari. Okay, so lastly, which was the best thing I read all month, and this is going to go into my favorite series of all time list. I loved everything about this series, and that is Cross Game by Mitsuru Adachi. This series has everything. It is a amazing sports series. It takes over Slam Dunk as my favorite sports series of all time. It is a fantastic romance series, probably the best romance I've read in any manga. and then also a fantastic slice of life. So you have all those three things combined into just an amazing book. Even if you don't like baseball, like I liked baseball when I was a small kid. I would collect baseball cards like when I was in my elementary and middle school days. But I haven't watched a game of baseball in probably 30 years, you know, so I don't have any connection with baseball. And this was still an amazing read. It sucks you into the game of baseball, kind of like Slam Dunk, how it kind of sucks you into a basketball game. This one here does the same for baseball, where it's more about it's more about the characters, it's more about the members of the team, it's more about the dynamic between the lead character and all of the girls that the group of sisters that live next door to him that kind of he grows up with. So I cannot recommend this series enough. If you can find it, unfortunately, I don't think this is like officially out of print, but it's technically, I mean, not technically out of print, but I don't think they're going to be re-releasing this one. So it is fairly hard to find the physicals of, but I assume, I don't know too much about Shonen Jump's apps. I don't really read stuff digitally, but I assume because this is a Viz release that this is somewhere on like Viz's app for you to read. So definitely check it out if you can't find these physicals. This group of 8 omnibuses, it completes in 8 volumes here, but each one of these, it's 17 total volumes in Japan, released in these 8 omnibus releases. So we have a bunch of 2-in-1s. The very first one is a 3-in-1, and I thought the artwork was going to feel kind of dated, and no, the artwork is perfect for this story and these characters. It's not as old as you think it is. Like, you know, when I first heard about this series, I was thinking this was like from the 80s or maybe 90s, and it's from the mid 2000s. So it's not a super old release. And one of my favorite things about kind of going in blind into series is that there's something that happens pretty early on in this first volume that just completely floored me emotionally, and I was just not expecting it at all. So, you know, things like that in manga are just great when you kind of go into something and you don't know anything about it, and you're kind of just blown away by it. So I really enjoyed that. Great series. Great artwork, great storytelling, great characters. The lead character is awesome. The main girl character is awesome. Just can't recommend this series enough. Very unfortunate that we don't have more. Adachi has tons of books, tons of series, and this is really the only release that we've gotten in English, other than his short program 2-volume release, which is long out of print from Viz. So we definitely need to get more Adachi stuff released in English. He needs to be more well known here. But yeah, so that was Cross Game. Please read this. Great series. Okay, so that was it for my reading log for January. I'm doing things a little differently for next month's reading log, or for my choices for reading. I'm I'm taking some lessons from Tony's Manga. She has her TBR jar. I'm not going to be recording anything like that, but what I basically did was I made a list of all of my 10 volume and up series, put those in one list, and then that were completed. And then I made a list of all of my 4 to 9 volume series in a second separate list. So what I'm doing is using random number generator, randomly picking a long series, and then depending on how long that series is, 1 to 3 shorter kind of medium range series to read each month. So I'm starting that for February. I got on my first main series, one that I was really excited for that just ended. So really glad to start reading that. If you follow me on Goodreads, you'll know what that series is because I've already been posting my reads of it. But yeah, so if you want to see in real time what I'm reading, follow me on Goodreads. I'm the question there. But otherwise, thank you for watching this video. more haul videos, more reading logs if you subscribe and like. So thanks everybody, and have a great month.